Hey, this is Malika of Evanston Live TV, the voice of the people. I am headed in right now to talk to two very important figures here in Evanston. That's City Clerk Devon Reid and our Mayor, Steve Hagerty, in regards to a vote that took place at the last City Council meeting in regards to FOIA requests. One of the things that people, that Devon Reid won majority of the vote during his campaign for city clerk was his conversation about transparency and educating the public on FOIA, because to be honest, a lot of people didn't know. I heard a lot of people, they're like, what is FOIA? Like they had no idea. So it wasn't until he actually got into office people understood that they had access to this service, that his office would assist them with FOIA. So he won the campaign on that. So if that responsibility is given to someone else, I mean, because he's really been fulfilling what he said he was going to do. So how does that work if it's possibly given to another individual to handle all the FOIA requests? How does that work?
I don't recall Devon Reid saying during the campaign that I'm going to make every FOIA public, every single FOIA public. I don't recall. Maybe he did. I think he was communicating that, hey, I want people to know that the government is open and transparent, and any of this information that we have here is accessible, and you'll be able to come to my office and you'll be able to get that. If I'm a person and I write an angry email to the mayor, which I get angry emails sometimes, and I write an angry email and I say, I've got big problems with Malika Gardner, and let me tell you, Mayor, she's not acting ethically, or whatever the issue is. Okay? And then let's say that somebody says, I want to FOIA the mayor's emails between September 1st and September 30th. Okay? Should all of those emails that are then fulfilled and given to the requester, should they also be given to everyone in the public? That's the question. And personally, I think that that's irresponsible. I think that people should have some level of privacy when somebody says, I want to make a FOIA request, that FOIA request isn't then just made public. Because what happens when it's made public is all of a sudden it gets into the Google searches. And all of a sudden, if we take that example that I gave you, somebody Googles Malika Gardner and all of a sudden discovers this email. That's not what FOIA was intended for.
So if they just change that, will he be the person still responsible for handling FOIA requests if he keeps it private just to the person requesting?
I mean, he understands and has been asked to do that, and that is not what he wants to do. I don't know. I mean, we'll see how this rules committee goes and where the conversation goes.
Okay. Your campaign was about transparency, and that's what people loved about you when you were running the campaign.
Right.
And how you were really going to make the city clerk office accessible to the people, because many people just didn't utilize the city clerk office.
Right.
And so you were making it aware to the people of Evanston what the city clerk office does, and you were really pointing out many people didn't even know what FOIA was, and that it was there for the people, and that the city clerk was responsible for taking those FOIA requests.
Right. To bring transparency to the city, my whole mission, since taking office and before taking office, has been to push the effort of the mantle to push the mantle of transparency, and we've done that when it came to enforcing, making sure the Open Meetings Act was followed when it came to the minimum wage vote. Most recently, we did that with CPAC. There's a board, the Citizens Police Advisory Council, that has existed for almost a decade, and within this decade, CPAC has never followed the Open Meetings Act. That means that they didn't post notice for their meetings at least 48 hours in advance. This means that the public wasn't allowed to hear what was going on at those meetings or make comments. This means that minutes and records of what was said and done at those meetings were not kept properly. Here in Evanston, we have the Daily Crime Bulletin, where we email out the names, addresses, and ages of folks who haven't been convicted of a crime yet. And, you know, that is shaming, embarrassing, and humiliating people. And this is going back all the way, this is online, available, going all the way back to 2003. And I'm hoping that, you know, folks will work to change that as well. And again, I have not been against changing any policies that will protect folks' privacy. I think we need to make those changes, but I think we need to make sure that if this is an honest charge, that we look across the board at practices that the city has. You know, I want to take a quick step back and make sure the record is clear on what happened here. There are two instances. One with Alderman Wilson has mentioned instances where a juvenile's name was released on the next request system. That juvenile, was a young man who was arrested while riding on the back pegs of a friend's bike. And that young man's parents, as well as the young man, had come before the council, said his name, spoken out about this issue. So it was a very widely known issue. The second instance is extremely serious, and it is of a sexual assault survivor. A request came in for a police report. The way it works is, when a request comes into the clerk's office, we assign it to the appropriate department, and then the appropriate department works with us to produce the documents. In this case, this FOIA request came in looking for a police report. It did not mention sexual assault. The police department pulled the police report and released it to my office. The police department's responsible for redacting, and we took the request and we released it. And the incident there is that it wasn't properly redacted. And so my office took steps when we were alerted to it to remove that document, to make sure that everything was in full compliance. And moving forward, we have introduced policies and procedures to make sure FOIA requests, make sure that we preserve folks' right to accessing information, but also protect folks protect sensitive information from getting out into the public. And we've made those steps by ensuring that FOIA requests aren't posted live, won't be posted live until an hour after they've been closed, and all documents have been properly second checked. One of the things this office has done, and why it is critical that FOIA stay with an independently elected office that is accountable only to the people. My office, it's not just processing FOIA requests, it's really working, we work with residents to make sure that they get the information that they're asking for. So we work with them to narrow a request, we work with them to properly word and phrase requests to access the information, and we also advocate for residents when another department denies information. We make follow-up calls to make sure that all possible options have been exhausted to make sure that that resident gets the information that they've requested the first time and every time.